Hey everyone, welcome to this first Halloween-themed edition of the Dapper Meeple.
This show is all about our love of gaming, the games we play, and what's going on in our gaming community.
On this horror-themed edition of our show, we're going to talk about what's going on for a spooky good night of gaming in Hampton Roads.
Then we'll have a ghoulishly good time looking at some scary games to play with your friends.
Along with favorite Halloween memories, Critical Role coming to the big screen, and of course our Kickstarter Roundup. So kill the lights,
Hold your candle close,
and settle in for this probably not really terrifying episode of the Dapper Meeple. So growing up, Halloween was always one of those things that was kind of a weird holiday. At least for me when I was little. As I've gotten older, I've noticed that, one, most of the women that I end up dating, like Halloween's like their favorite thing. So I don't know if that says something about me and I might have a type. But it's definitely been a theme in a lot of relationships. And then I've got a lot of my friends that I've met playing around the table, which always they really seem to be big into Halloween. Do you have any favorite Halloween memories?
For me, we didn't really do Halloween either when I was little. That's probably from our parents.
Yeah.
It wasn't really, like, I saw the costumes, like, all that sort of stuff. But where we lived, too, we didn't have trick-or-treaters because, not too many people wanted to go down, 180-foot long driveway into the woods.
I was going to say, the dark, scary dirt road that comes off of the pavement. Yeah, that could be a thing.
Yeah, it's not the most inviting to those people who are looking for candy. My first kind of Halloween experience didn't come until after I met my wife. Her work used to do a little Halloween party, like some of the other people she worked with. And it was people I met them. We actually played in a kickball league for a while. And we did a Halloween themed party there every year. So the couple of years that she was still up there working. That was my first experience with Halloween was an adult Halloween party. So that was fun though. We got to do, the usual dress up, play games, drinks, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a good time. And then of course we did, once we moved back down to South Carolina, we did the passing out candy and stuff like that, but that was pretty much it. I mean, I've heard of Trunk or Treats,
right,
which is the Christian version of Halloween.
Is that where that started?
I don't know if that's where it officially started, but that's what they all adopted. That and the Fall Festival.
Right.
That was there.
Well, yeah, we both went to private school, not like cool preppy private school, like Jesus is the Answer private school, which it was really heavy religious. So yeah, we always had the Fall Festival every year.
Right.
Where it was like, we're going to do this at the same time as Halloween, but we're not competing, and it's not the same thing. But if you want to wear a costume, I was always very confused as a child on that. So, yeah. I don't have a lot. I have pictures of me and the kid next door dressed up as super, those old school, 80s. You put the mask on with the rubber band on the back of your head.
Yep.
It was hideous and terrifying to look back on it now. I really didn't realize how much we were just traumatizing ourselves in the future. But yeah, it was the same for me that I really didn't do anything for it until I was an adult.
Yeah, I had a Power Rangers costume that was the exact same way. They call it morph suits now. It was the full one-piece bodysuit.
Yeah, right.
And then that horrible plastic mask.
What color were you?
I think it was the Black Ranger. And I don't know why, because that was never one of my favorite ones. But that's the color I seem to remember that costume being.
I now there have been several versions of the Power Rangers.
It was OG, Black Ranger with the mammoth.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. With Kimberly, I don't know how many dudes I've talked to. Yeah, that was my first crush.
Speaking of chicks who like Halloween, I I could see that being a theme with the people you've dated. But I mean, I think it's just a fun time, just in general. I mean, especially you talked about friends in our community that like that sort of thing. I think because cosplaying is also an integrated part of this kind of gaming and nerd community.
Right.
It's kind of an excuse to be a cosplayer, even if you're not really a great one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you don't have to hand make your whole costume to be able to wear it, kind of thing.
Oh, but I've had this really great idea for a Reinhardt from Overwatch for years now. Of just building that costume, that bigger than life power armor costume with a big, giant ass hammer. So, but yeah, because I mean, I have a couple of friends of mine that are cosplayers and they're like fantastic at it. And it just feels like Halloween for a lot of us is just, we're going to give it a chance.
Yeah. But I think that's part of the appeal to it. The whole being able to do something you wouldn't normally do.
Yeah.
Like dress a way you wouldn't normally dress. And I think that can be fun, like, and exciting, no matter exactly how you do it. I think it's a good time to get together and really highlight maybe some movies, games, that sort of thing that we don't always do regularly.
Oh, right.
Which we'll talk about, of course, later on in another segment about some kind of Halloween or scary themed games that we'll go into. But what are some of the things that are happening in our area, at least, for this coming up Halloween season?
The area that we're in, just for people that may be new that are listening from somewhere else, we live in Virginia Beach. This whole area is kind of known as the Hampton Roads area. So it's Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Chesapeake, Portsmouth, Hampton, Newport News. Like, this whole area is just kind of one big... We're not really divided up by the cities here. Like, for people that live here, we go all over the place. And I always feel like, one, we have the biggest Navy population for the U.S. Navy of anywhere else in the world. So there's a lot of people that are transient coming in and out of here. A lot of people from other areas that are here. It always kills me how little of these kind of things... We get the same problem with, like, concerts don't ever stop. So, yeah, this area always seems to get overlooked for a lot of stuff. So when I was looking, there's not as much as I thought there was going to be going on for Halloween. We have a couple game stores in the area, which I really feel like this is a good opportunity. Like, if you want to do like an Extra Life or something, doing a Halloween themed, something for it just feels like that would be right and like perfect for this time of year.
Or even just a general like community type outreach sort of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, just not only for the good of the store to bolster, foot traffic into the store, but I mean, just again, to reach out to the people in your community. Because local game stores are something that we advocate for heavily here. But it's more than just hearing somebody, encourage you to go to your local game store. It's also on that store itself to really integrate itself into a community.
So Atlantis Games, which is kind of my go-to, has an event posted for the 28th. I'm sorry, the 23rd. So it's this weekend coming up. And they are doing a Halloween spooktacular food drive. You can go onto their Facebook page and kind of get the information for it. The location is set as their Portsmouth location, but reading into it, it looks like it's at both. Entry is a minimum of 5 food drive donation items or a $5 donation. It starts at 4 o'clock and will go to 11:30. All donations will start being accepted at both Atlantis locations, so here in Norfolk and in Portsmouth. So what do you get when you enter? First, they give you a goodie bag. It includes event badges that'll get you access to the Halloween celebration events, which are going on in the store, free food and beverage, tabletop gaming, spooky video games, Halloween Adventure League modules, horror movie marathon, and more that they've got going on there. They'll also be running their annual costume contest along with it, which, again, perfectly makes sense. And they have it the way it's so October 23rd, 24th. Go to either location in costume, get your picture taken to enter into the costume contest. So they're going to take pictures and then
do online voting.
Yeah. The 25th through the 30th will be voting on Facebook and Instagram. So you can go back to their social media, and actually we're going to be voting on the costumes. And winners will be announced on the 31st. So I love this idea. Like, we've always been, big about game stores building community. And I think doing like a food drive, especially with, it's been a rough year. It's been a rough couple of years. It sounds great. So if you're around, if you're in the Hampton Roads area, go check out what Atlantis has going on this weekend. And if you're going to enter into the costume contest, good luck. The other big one that I found, so we got our first board game cafe.
Right.
It's called Roll With It. Well done on the name, right? And the guy that owns it, I'm pretty sure he's in league with the Tidewater Gaming Group that meets. They meet like once a week to play and stuff. We haven't had a chance to get there because schedules. But he opened up his own cafe, and basically it's a pretty limited menu. I went there for lunch. It was good. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. It was like press sandwiches and soups and stuff, but they're already expanding the menu because they didn't have a lot of dessert. And I don't know how you feel, but as a fat dude, you're going to have to give me some dessert. That's got to be on the menu. So they have started that. They rolled out a bunch of new desserts. They had like a dessert tasting where everything was like half off and stuff. So they're improving their menu and stuff. But the servers are also kind of like the game experts. So they know how to play all the different games that are on the wall. And his wall, he's got something like, it says over 600 games. And it kind of starts on one side as like, Milton Bradley stuff. Like one of the 8 different versions of Monopoly that they've got there. Life, stuff like that. And as you move down the wall, it gets more into like Us. They have a lot of like Ticket to Ride. They had a couple of Sheriff of Nottingham, Mysterium. Like they had a good selection of games for you to go play. And the way the cafe works is you go in there and eat, and it's reasonably priced for what they got. Really good. And then everybody who wants to play pays like a $5 game fee, and you can play any game on the wall, right? You can pull them down, take them to your table. Like I said, the servers that are in there are supposed to be like the game experts, so they will walk you through. It was funny. I took a group of my guys from work. We went there for lunch, and I just went to look at the games. And I was going through games that I liked and talked about, was telling people about them. And the server came up behind me and she was like, "Do you need it?" Never mind. And just walked away. I was like, "Sorry, that wasn't what that was for." I was like, I was excited. It really does look like a good time. But they are a business. They are a business that is here in our local area, and they are definitely rolling out some stuff for Halloween. So there's like 3 events that I want to look at that they're doing: the 28th, the 30th, and the 31st. So I want to kick it off on the 28th, Thursday. They are going to be doing a Extra Life pregame. So here locally, we support the Children's Hospital of the King's Daughters, CHKD. It is a 206-bed teaching hospital with special units for neonatal and pediatric intensive care, cancer care, acute inpatient, rehabilitation, medical, surgical care, and transitional care, all really kind of focused on like children. So that's who the money's going to go. Like I said, when you go in, you pay that $5 fee per person to like play all the games. For that night, all of that is going to be given directly to CHKD as part of their Extra Life campaign. So again, reaching out and building some community with your business. I like that. On the 30th, they will be doing their Halloween party. So it's kind of just going to be your favorite spooky games, free game passes for people in costumes, so you don't have to pay the $5.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So it's just kind of a come out and try out some games and see what they're going to do. I think that's the night too. They're talking about organizing a game of Werewolf, which if you haven't played is one of those kind of social engineering games where you're trying to figure out who's good and who's bad. So that's a possibility for that night. On the 31st, they are doing adult trick-or-treating. Guests in costume get to pull out of their trick-or-treat bag for discounts, prizes, free game passes, and gift cards. So another opportunity to get dressed up and go out and play some games, win some prizes, make a good night out of it.
Yeah, so I haven't actually been able to make it over to Roll With It yet, but I have heard wonderful reviews from a lot of people who have.
Yeah.
It seems like first of all, it's a great idea. Which, we've heard about these popping up all over the place. So I think it's great that we have one locally now. But I like how they're taking advantage of this like time being able. I saw also they already have some Christmas events like scheduled.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, just that whole like bringing in the community for these sort of things, I think is excellent. And especially that they're even having the one night that specifically goes towards charity. Very good on them. All right, so that wraps up mostly the kind of Halloween themed things that are happening in our area. Take a look around some of your local stores, game stores, things like that. See what they're doing. Hopefully, they'll have some sort of costume contest or adult trick or treating, or even just game night type things that you can go and support the store and have fun, meet new people, that sort of thing. Speaking of meeting new people, let's talk about conventions. Because for the first time in almost 2 years, we are finally getting conventions back. We've had a bunch of them already have happened this year.
Right.
We've had a couple big ones just recently go off. We have a couple that we're looking forward to. So we'll take just a quick second and kind of go through those.
So a couple weeks ago was Gen Con, right? Or how long ago? Gen Con was in August, which, is one of the biggest gaming conventions, I don't know, worldwide?
Which, when you're not great with time, was a couple weeks ago.
Everything feels like a couple weeks ago for me right now. So, yeah. They are coming back in the beginning of August in 2022. I think this one kind of got it started for us, though. We've been watching this, kind of like what's going to happen at Gen Con is probably what's going to determine what will happen for like PAX Unplugged.
Right.
So we kept a close eye on this one. There's a lot of good stuff that came out of it. I mean, there always is. This is a chance for people to roll out, their big games, the new stuff. I'm sure people have been behind closed doors working on stuff, and this is where they get to do the big sexy displays. They got live plays. They've got plenty of panels where, they talk about the gaming industry and what's going on and what we're doing together. So we were keeping a big eye on this one. From everything I've heard, it was a success. They had some of the COVID protocols obviously in place.
Yeah, which it looks like PAX Unplugged is copying for their upcoming.
Yes.
From a lot of the accounts that I've heard, everybody was like all the staff there was very diligent on making sure people were following the rules, that sort of thing. And it seems like it paid off. From what I've heard and seen, doesn't look like there is, outside of your normal con crud that you get just from being around that many people, they say even that was reduced this year with the protocols, which, I'm all for that anyway.
Right.
So that was really good. Gen Con being that one of the big American events in the board game industry. It's one that a lot of the companies kind of hold product to release at that date. So there aren't as many as a normal year that came out this year. But there were still quite a lot of really good releases. Again, like we said, this was kind of the tester con that we were watching to see kind of how it went, and whether or not this was something we can get back to sooner rather than later. So good news, we're looking forward now to what's coming up. We've had a couple other cons, not specifically gaming related. New York City Comic-Con,
which is always a big event.
Exactly. They had a really good showing of people, also with COVID protocols and things like that. That one seems to have gone well. There were a couple really awesome announcements that came out of the New York Comic Con. One of them, or specifically dealing with Critical Role.
Yes. So I guess there are two big announcements. They released the first few minutes of footage from the animated series that they're working on, which I can say that it is definitely an adult themed animated version. Like, if you have younger children, this may not be the thing to break them in on. Don't think that's where that was going. It's definitely in line with kind of the online role play that they do. They didn't tone a whole lot of stuff down for it. But the animation was something that they started on Kickstarter a little over 2 years ago. They were asking for $750,000 for the opportunity to make one like 30 or 45 minute short, because they were all, voice actors and stuff anyway in the animation community. And the critter community collectively got together and said, no, fuck you. Boom. And by the time it was done, $11 million later, they were like, well, looks like we're going to make a couple seasons now. So that's what they've been working on. I know Titmouse Studios is doing their animation for them. It looks fantastic. So they released that first few minutes of film. or of an episode, and then they released the intro, which looks fantastic.
Right. And Amazon actually picked it up, so once it is finished, like that's where it'll be aired at. So I mean, it's exciting. I think we were talking about this earlier. It's exciting how kind of things have shifted, where popular culture now is embracing like more geek and nerd type things. Especially, I think Critical Role has broken the mold, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But it's good to see that kind of thing being more widely accepted.
Right, and I think companies are seeing too that there's money to be made here, and if you're going to do anything in the entertainment industry, that's what you've got to keep doing.
Yep.
Right, and as a collective community, I think we've shown them that hey, this is we want more of this, less of other things, and there's definitely some controversy that's going along with it. The Critical Role team has taken some lumps for a couple different things. And we're not going to go into a deep talk about that. I think they're doing well with what they've got. They're doing well as representatives for our community. Could they be doing other things? Yeah, sure, we all could. So I think what a lot of people, especially a lot of people that may have come to this community or become aware of this community through Critical Role, which is definitely a thing. Like, we have grown because of them in like leaps and bounds. I think what a lot of people forget is 6 years ago, there wasn't a lot of streaming games to watch. Definitely not with that production value that they put on.
Oh, absolutely.
When they first started, like they all were like, I don't know if this is a great idea. Long form content's hard to keep people involved. There was a lot of issues with it that, at the time, they were like, this may not work. And they were on Geek and Sundry. Felicia Day came over and asked them to come play their game in front of a camera.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like the first boom that we got. And now you can find streams of games all over the place, but they either have learned from what Critical Role has done, I think, or they started afterward. They've either improved their show or they came in later than 6 years ago.
I think absolutely it's looking back now, it's tough to remember like where this hobby came from. Mm-hmm. I had a conversation with one of my coworkers the other day who is not really into this sort of thing, but I was able to convince him to try his first session of D&D not too long ago. And he told me, he said, I wasn't really, I was happy to hang out with you guys, but I wasn't really looking forward to playing D&D, but I really enjoyed it. And it's something different. He's like, I'm more into sports and that sort of thing. Not that you can't be into both, but that's usually the dichotomy that ends up coming out of it. He says it's not really my thing, but I actually really enjoyed playing. And it kind of brings like, this used to be the game like you went over to your friend's house to play in the basement that you didn't want to tell anybody about. And the hobby has grown so much since then and has really become something much bigger than that. And I think in part due to Critical Role and the streams like that. But I mean, we're in a whole new generation of what this hobby is. And it makes stuff like this show right here possible. Like, we can make content about something like that we enjoy that used to be unpopular, but because of its popularity, like, that's why we're able to do this.
Right. So the other announcement is Campaign 3 is going to be starting on the 21st, this upcoming Thursday, which is always big anyway. Like, you get the most viewership early on in one of these campaigns. But the other big announcement is that in selected theaters, they will be playing the first episode of Campaign 3. They're specifically Cinemark theaters. You can go to the Cinemark website and see if there's one near you. I looked. There is not. I can't bring myself to drive to Washington, D.C., which is the closest one. I will tell you that I did reach out to Cinemark, and the local theater gave me the number to the corporate line for viewer experience line. And I called it on a Saturday at 5:00, and somebody answered. So I was already like, wow, you guys are, I don't know if you guys are just ahead of the game or if you need people to show up. But I asked the guy about it, and he's like, look, what it's going to come down to is the distributor. And he looked it up for me, and he said, the distributor is critroll.com. And I was like, yes, I know them. So I went over there, sent an email. I never got anything back about trying to get it into our area. It was like, what do we need to do? Do I need a letter writing campaign? Do I need to take names? What do I need to do? And I never got an answer back. So I don't think we're actually going to get it in a theater here. But maybe for somebody else, there may be one close to you. If not, it will be on their Twitch channel. And then I'm sure you can catch it on the YouTube a day or two later.
Yeah.
That's kind of huge, though, that they're into Campaign 3. Like this, it's the same group. It is the same cast, which, again, there has been some controversy around the fact that it's the same cast. And a lot of people say, well, they're not just friends playing a game anymore. Now they're a multi-million-dollar company. I'm like, yeah, I got that. But this is what they did. And again, 6 years ago, there's no way they knew what this was going to become.
Oh, absolutely.
Like this, I'm sure this is when we say beyond your wildest dreams, this is exactly the scenario that we're talking about. I think they're good keeping their core cast. I think there's other things they can do, like they did, Abray Iyengar came in and did an 8-episode series, the Exandria Unlimited, which was fantastic. They brought new people into the game to play. They have a guest list that is just incredible from people around, the entertainment industry, because apparently this is a thing. Yeah. I know like the Star Trek Discovery guys have their own game that they play on set and stuff. So, good on them for getting to the third campaign. Any predictions on what you're expecting to see out of the third campaign?
So I saw some art the other day. And I think it was the artwork they released for like the new characters and stuff like that. And it looks like there is a Ford/Jester like child.
I saw that. It's like a tiefling with tusks.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll see. Of course, it's all speculation up until they actually come out with who's playing who and what. Right, so, which is part of the excitement of a new campaign. But I've always enjoyed the way they've kind of weaved together even the different seasons with the separation of years and things like that. Mm-hmm. Just kind of the different callbacks to it. Yeah. Those are always cool and exciting. So interested to see what happens. Definitely something that I'll be looking forward to tuning in and catching the new characters and seeing that sort of thing.
I just want Liam to play a happy character. That's all I want. No orphan garbage. No, my family died in a fire.
Wait, you mean Mr. Tragic Backstory?
Right, yeah. I'm just going to need him to play a dude that was happy with his life. He did well, and he was like, you know what? I'm young and fit. I'm going to go be an adventurer. And that's how it worked out. He writes his mom every week and shit, right? Hey, Mom, today on the adventuring trail. You know what I'm saying? That's what I want. If I get that, I think we could really spin a good story. So that's the big stuff coming out of New York. What else is coming up? Here locally, we have the Hampton Comic Con, which is the 30th of October.
Yep.
It's definitely a smaller con, and it's hilarious. Like if you go to their website, go to their Facebook, their emblem is a pig with wings. And the story apparently is the guy that puts it on was trying to get this going, and somebody told him Hampton will have a Comic Con when pigs fly. So he goes, fine. That became their emblem. I just got to appreciate that level of petty.
Yeah.
So that's enough reason for me to go anyway. But it is a local one here, and they do the costume contest. They're going to have vendors. They're going to have artists. Definitely, if you're in this area, come check it out.
So the other thing we have coming up that we're excited about is PAX Unplugged, which is, many of you know we've talked about it. In 2019 was the last time we were able to go because that was the last time they had it since the pandemic. This year, though, it's happening again in December, the 10th through the 12th. Yes, yep. December 10th through the 12th in Philadelphia. So the tickets just went on sale about a week ago, give or take, and we immediately got ours as soon as we saw them because we're definitely planning on being there this year.
I haven't looked to see if they're sold out yet. They definitely went much slower this year than they have in the past. But I mean, $75 for the 3-day pass, which is fantastic. Philadelphia, I think, is a great time. I enjoyed, after the con, getting out and kind of seeing some of the city when we were up there last time. so that was good. But I mean, the vendors that they've already announced that are going to be there
It's a
are
huge exhibitor list. There's a couple of names that I noticed are missing.
yeah.
Um, but it's not completely updated yet. They may still come, so it's not one of those things where I'm not worried about it by any stretch of the imagination. There's plenty of vendors that are gonna be there, but I did notice there were a couple of the publishers that were there the previous time that aren't going to be there this time as of right now.
Right.
So again, that is all subject to change. We're still almost 2 months out. Like,
I checked their website as well, and I believe that they are requiring vaccination cards.
yes, they are.
So it's not just a vaccination or a negative test. It is you have to be vaccinated. So just a heads up if anybody is looking at it. Like you said, PAX U, the 10th through the 12th. It's a weekend in December. It was fantastic. Last time we went, we had such a blast. It was our first big con, so we tried to do everything and almost died. We're gonna have a lot more planning this time, and hopefully we'll have some good stuff to report back to you guys.
Right. So if you happen to be planning on going to PAX yourself, if you do see us, stop by. We might have a pin or a lanyard we can drop your way. But by all means, we're happy to meet new people whenever we go out and about. So
Right.
that pretty much wraps it up for just kind of an opening segment. And let's jump into some fun games that we can play this spooky season.
So this is also the perfect time of year for some horror-themed board games. Getting a group of people together, turning the lights down, maybe lighting some candles, and playing something that gives you a little bit of a thrill is definitely a good time. So we've picked out 5 games that are on our radar. We have not played any of these, at least not recently, and these are all games that we've looked at or we've seen somebody else play them that we definitely want to try. So we're going to introduce them to you, and if you have the opportunity, go see if you can find these.
So there are a few honorable mentions when it comes to horror games, I think. Specifically, the Eldritch Horror type series.
Right.
You got Eldritch Horror, Arkham Horror, Mansions of Madness, Arkham Horror, the card game. All of those obviously fit well into that Lovecraftian horror theme is a classic. So definitely something that would go right in with these. The 5 we picked out today, though, like we said, are ones either we haven't played in a long time or they are ones that we just haven't played at all and are looking forward to playing. So first up on that list, games that we haven't played in a long time. It first came out in 1991.
So this game is Nightmare. It's kind of a simple board game. Roll the dice, move your piece, draw cards, be the first to collect all 6 keys. Then you have to move to the center of the board by rolling the exact number to get there. And then once you are there, you must roll a 6 on a typical 6-sided dice to turn over the top card on a deck of fears, which everybody has taken an opportunity to write their worst fear down on this deck. And as long as the fear you turn over isn't yours, you win the game. Now, all of this is going on while a video plays in the background. And a character will appear on the screen from time to time to give you instruction, and they are known as the gatekeeper. I played this game in high school, so a long time ago. The gatekeeper was on VHS, if that gives you an idea. It's kind of a little shock because you're watching the clock all the time, and you'll draw cards that'll have you do things. As it say, at this time you can take 2 turns if you have this card, and if that time's already passed, you just tuck it away. It doesn't count anymore. But when you least expect it, you'll hear this thunder and clash from the TV. If you're doing it right, turn the lights down low, turn the volume up, and this face appears on the screen. And at that time, he'll tell you to do something, or you'll skip a turn, or you may get a bonus depending on who you are or what character you're playing. It kind of builds its own tension. It's interesting. Like I said, it's an older game, and we were doing some research for this, as we were doing research for this, I also found that you only get so much playability out of a videotape, right?
Right.
So people have gone in and made other videos to play along with the game. So you use the same board game, everything else. It's a different video and a different character popping up on the screen.
Yeah. So this comes from the age of the VHS type video games. So there's of course like Seen It and stuff like that came out around the same time, where you would have the physical board paired with this, videotape that was always playing. So it really reminds me, like, as we were looking at this, of like, this is kind of the early stages for the app assisted board games that we have now. Which of course are 1,000 times more interactive and everything, but still, this is one of those games that it's kind of a classic to today's gaming standards. Probably considered hot garbage. This is one of those more nostalgia type games. I would consider it, but definitely something that was different back in the 90s.
Right. I definitely think like our older listeners, like my age, early 40s, late 30s, like get a group of us together, have a few drinks, and put this on. I think this thing would be a good time.
All right, so bringing it up to the modern era, the next game that we want to talk about is the new standalone sequel in the Horrified series. So this is Horrified American Monsters. So the first Horrified game that came out, I believe it was a couple of years ago now, made by Ravensburger. It featured the Hollywood, kind of old school Hollywood monsters.
Like so classic.
Yeah, Dracula, the werewolf, the mummy, let's see, Frankenstein and his bride.
Did it have the what was the fish? The creature from the Black Lagoon.
Creature from the Black Lagoon. Yeah. So in the game, you pick a role and you have a different power that you can use, and you're trying to defeat these monsters in very specific ways depending on the monster, which I thought was really cool. The game was really well done. It's very easy to pick up, very easy to teach. It's a cooperative type game. It's very Pandemic-esque. What this game does is keeps that same kind of feel as far as gameplay. And instead of having the Hollywood monsters, we now go to North American cryptids. So if you don't know what a cryptid is, you want to give an explanation of?
So a cryptid is a creature that is believed to exist, but there is really no scientific evidence to back that up. Probably the most well-known cryptid would be Bigfoot. So thousands of sightings, a couple of shaky videos, a lot of stories, but we've never found a body or any evidence to really back that up. And the FBI did release their report last year to confirm that. So, but that's what a cryptid is.
So there are tons of cryptids all across the United States and the world, really. But these pick some of the more popular ones that are well known. Obviously, first we have Bigfoot as one of the creatures. Probably the second most known is probably Mothman.
Oh yeah,
out of West Virginia.
Yep.
If you don't know any of the what these creatures are, go down a quick Google rabbit hole, because some of the stories on these are absolutely hilarious. There's some great kind of other podcast content out there and YouTube videos to take a look at. So we got those two. The next one is probably the Jersey Devil.
Yes. Which amazes me how many people don't know that one. Like, I thought it was pretty well known. Another great story, like, this creature supposedly has been around since, I think it was the 1700s when it was born. It was the 13th child of Mrs. Leeds, and she cursed it, and it turned into this devil with goat legs and wings and a horse's head, and either killed everybody in the room or beat them savagely and then flew out the chimney and lives in the Pine Barrens in New Jersey. I told somebody about that, and I said something about the Jersey Devil, and they're like, what are you talking about? And I was like, dude, what do you think the hockey team is named after? So, interesting. So, yeah, the Jersey Devil's in there. So, probably the next most popular would be the Chupacabra.
Right, which is the livestock killer / blood drinker from New Mexico and that area.
Right, definitely southern United States, Mexico. Then there's the
The Ozark Howler, I think, is one of the other creatures. Yeah.
Yeah, the Ozark Howler. I have heard stories of the Ozark Howler. It's kind of a more of a local kind of cryptid, obviously from the name. Definitely, around the Ozark Mountains and stuff out there. Which I wasn't real sure when I saw the mini. I was like, that's never what I pictured it looking like. But maybe it's just me. And what's the last one? The Banshee of the Badlands.
Right. So all of these monsters. So I like the way they kind of package the game, because we did actually pick up a copy. We just haven't had a chance to play yet. So they kind of package it as if you all are FBI agents trying to investigate these creatures, which I think is great. That's awesome and thematic. But this is definitely one of those we are looking forward to.
Yes.
Because we really enjoyed the original Horrified. I have heard that there are some spelling errors, misprints type
Really?
in the game, which is surprising because Ravensburger usually puts out a very, very high quality product. But I mean, we'll see as we play it. I don't know if it's something that would detract from the game or if it's, we can kind of overlook. But so that's the next one. The other one on the list, or the next one on the list, is one that we actually picked up not too long ago, but haven't got it quite to the table yet. But it's perfect for this time of year.
Absolutely. I've got this one recommended to me from our friend Leslie, who's been on the show. She actually, her boss's son was the one that was publishing it or creating the game. And it kind of it's won all kinds of awards. It's really taken off. If you haven't heard about it, you should check it out. It's The Night Cage. So you wake up trapped in a dark room, alone and empty-handed, save for one small melting candle. The big question the game asks is, how long will your light last? So The Night Cage is a cooperative game. Players are allowed to talk to each other and work together, searching through this ever-changing map to find keys to open the gate and get out. When your candle is lit, you can see the tile that you're standing on and any adjacent tiles that the path leads to. But as you move, the area moves with you, and any tile that goes dark is removed permanently from the board. So you always have the potential for the board to change. Your goal and the goal of your companions is to find a way out by collecting keys to the gate, avoiding the pitfalls and monsters that are in here with you, and really a lot of sheer dumb luck. As you replace tiles on the board, your stack of tiles gets lower and lower, and once you're out of tiles, everybody's light goes out. So this game takes a lot of coordination. For my watching it, a lot of coordination for people to find the keys, and since you're holding your candle, you can only hold one other thing. So if you already have a key and you find another one, you may have to stand there and wait for somebody to come to you to pick the key up. Like I said, a lot of times with a tile game like this, it's just sheer dumb luck whether you can, get to the end of it and find the gate in the right order and things like that. It looks like an absolute blast. The rules look real elegant. The people that I've played it that recommended it to me said they had a blast and they were playing in the dark, which if there's any game that you play by candlelight, this is the one.
Yeah, I could see this game definitely being one of those. It is kind of black and white themed, so you don't have to worry about losing color in low light.
Right.
I like the mechanics of it, how tiles get lost once you move away. It really creates that element of tension because it makes you where you're eventually going to run out of these tiles. So yeah, this is definitely one I'm looking forward to giving a shot to, and seeing. There are other monsters and things like that can be on the tiles when you pull them out of the deck.
Right.
There are certain floors that once you move off of them, they just open up and become a hole. So that if somebody is trying to move with you or move behind you, they can't anymore, right. Which definitely adds a cool element to it. But yeah, so that's one I'm also looking forward to playing. The next game we want to talk about is one that has actually been out for a couple of years because we first heard about it at PAX, but it has been notoriously difficult to get your hands on. That is Blood on the Clock Tower. So any of you who have been around board games may have heard of this one. It is a social deduction game that is made for larger groups. The story behind it is a small town has been invaded by a demon with evil minions. And during the day, the demon is able to masquerade around as a normal person. But during the night, the demon strikes out against the town and kills a person each night. As a group, you can vote to execute one of the other members that you believe might be the demon. You can do that each day. And it really takes social deduction games and kind of takes them up a notch. So we mentioned Werewolf earlier, which is kind of the grandfather of social deduction, where you have the secret roles. You're trying to figure out who's who. There's also games like Resistance or even Secret Hitler is another very popular one, where each player has hidden roles and it's up to you to try and deduce who is on your team and who isn't. This game kind of takes that and turns it on its head, where each person does have a hidden role. Each role has a specific power, but there is a storyteller who goes through each of these phases and either gives like accurate information, or depending on what is happening with the different roles, they might be forced to give inaccurate information to whoever they're telling things. So the base game, first of all, comes with 3 different character sets. So each set has different characters with different player powers, basically creating this, making it 3 completely separate games. One of the things that really draws me to it is the complexity that comes with that many things. If you've ever played in a game of Werewolf or tried to be the one who runs the game of Werewolf, you know it can be difficult for, just having like those few different roles. This kind of ramps that up, but at the same time, the game gives you tools and resources to make kind of keeping track of that easier. It's a lot of going. One of the best ways to describe it, I think, came from Shut Up and Sit Down when they did their review on it. They said a lot of social deduction games go from like not knowing anything to being solved too quickly.
Yeah,
they miss kind of holding that element of tension. Whereas this game, it allows you to really draw that moment out. You're really not sure who's on your side and who's not on your side almost all the way through the game. The other thing I like about this is if your character dies, like if they get killed by the demon or you get voted out or to be executed, you're not done. You actually become a ghost and are able to still kind of politic and influence in the game. You lose your player power, obviously, because you're dead, but you actually still get 1 vote that you can cast at any of the voting sessions to try and either be like the overturn vote or, wait till the last, voting session to try and, make your mark one more time.
right.
So that right there is one thing I love about modern board games in general. The fact that just because you're out of the game, so to speak, doesn't mean you can't keep playing.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, this game looks absolutely amazing. It has stellar reviews across the internet of people who love social deduction games, love this game. People who aren't really into social deduction games love this game. And that really speaks to kind of the quality of it.
Right.
I do know right now they just finished up a Kickstarter. You can still pre-order through the Kickstarter page. Looks like shipping is happening at the end of November. So if it is something that you're also interested in now, you might actually be able to pick up a copy. So
yeah, I liked watching, like I said, we watched the Shut Up and Sit Down review and just talking about like the way that there's this disinformation that gets put out. It's so hard to figure out who is the bad guy. And even when you do, you may not be able to do anything about it. This is a game. The one big thing that they did say was this is a game that does best with a large group.
Right. So it technically plays from 5 players to 20. But they said the sweet spot is usually between like 8 and 13. So I know sometimes for game groups, it can be difficult to get that quantity of people. But if it is something that you have, or for instance, if you have a Halloween party that you're going to, that would be a great opportunity for a game like this. So maybe not this year, but possibly next year.
Right. I hope to see this one popping up more. We're definitely going to get our hands on a copy of it, and we'll see how that goes. So the last game that we have on here is Dread. Dread is described by its creators as a game of horror and hope. The thrill of this game is the tension that is created through cooperative storytelling of this macabre tale, as well as the mechanic that you're going to use for overcoming challenges. Dread feels like like a game that is designed to be an RPG one shot, right? You design your characters or you create your characters not from like a character sheet, but instead you'll use a questionnaire that the host or the person running the game will create. And it kind of gives you a framework for your individual characters, understanding how they are and how they fit into the story. Players can ask questions, tell what their players are doing, just kind of like in a traditional RPG, until they attempt an action that is beyond their capabilities. Then we turn to the tower. So instead of using dice to determine if a character succeeds or fails, though that is an alternate rule that you can use, Dread uses a tower, like in Jenga. Players must remove a piece and then move it to the top of the tower without knocking it over to succeed. They may also choose just to take the fail by not moving a piece for whatever they're trying to do. The tower itself helps to create tension, as knocking it over at any time means your character is removed. It's up to the host to determine what removed means. You may have your character die, they may go crazy, they may get locked up, but they are out of the game. It also gives an opportunity for players to assist their party by intentionally demolishing that tower when it becomes volatile or when there's a lot of pieces being stacked on the top, causing it to be rebuilt and stable again, giving his party a better chance to succeed. So you get to go out in that blaze of glory. First of all, the story that you're telling on this is probably it's a darker story. It's definitely a horror themed. But on top of that, we've all played Jenga, sober or otherwise, and moving pieces is just like, it can be nerve rattling. Put that on top of this is what you're doing to move your character forward in a story like that. And I think that is just like a brilliant mechanic to really build tension, because you're physically building tension in the room on top of the storytelling.
So one of the things that struck out to me when we were looking at this was the ability to sacrifice yourself. So if you have another character that is attempting a challenge, which would be, manipulating the Jenga tower, trying to pull a piece out, and you see that there's no way they're going to be successful, you can sacrifice your character by physically knocking the tower over, which if it's an accident, that character dies or is removed from the game. But you can take that hit for this other character by physically doing that intentionally. And then your character, hopefully whoever is running the game, gives your character a valiant death or whatever. So I thought that was pretty funny. Very interesting, cool way to do the whole, get down, Mr. President. So
yeah, I like that. Like that part of it when they were talking about it, because at any point, if the tower falls, that whoever caused its character is done. Like in the rules, it's not specifically that if you're pulling a piece, if you bump the table, if you push it's over, it's on you. But every time it falls over, it gets rebuilt and it's back to being stable and you start over. So I really like that mechanic. I can't imagine this game being as fun using dice.
No.
I think the tower and the authors and stuff put in the option to use dice, but I mean, they tell you, like, look, you're missing out if you don't use the tower.
Yeah.
So I like that one. That one sounds like that's a lot of fun. Like, again, these are a great game to have in the dark.
Yeah, this gives me like great ideas for actually implementing it into D&D as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, but definitely, so those are just 5 games that we picked out. I'm sure there are countless others that we did not think of or didn't come across, but these are 5 that we either have played, like I said, but definitely want to play again. So hopefully you guys have some as well. Feel free to drop us a comment or, send us an email of ones that you're looking forward, or maybe some Halloween traditions that you have, things that you always do, possibly with your gaming group and things like that. We'd love to hear about it.
So like we do with every episode, we are going to wrap up with our Kickstarter Roundup.
All right, today we have 3 excellent projects for you. A couple of them we are looking at backing ourselves, and a couple of them definitely need some help. So if you guys are hearing this within the next 10 days or so, feel free to check these out. Look at the links in the show notes. Go take a look at these. Some of them are pretty exciting. So I think we'll start with my favorite one this week, which is the the edible gummy minis for tabletop games. I don't know how many of you out there, hopefully all of you have at least tried tabletop games. Now that we're getting back to in person, you know, minis are a thing that you want to have. But the first time I ever ran D&D, I used gummy bears because I did not have actual minis. So this brings back, heartwarming memories for me.
Some nostalgia.
Yeah. So what we have here in this project, this company, which is Crawl Spaces and Critters, have developed a couple of molds for gummy miniatures to be able to use in tabletop gaming. The best part is once you defeat these monsters, then you're able to eat them. So it's great. So right now they have 3 molds. They have a goblin, a skeleton, and I think they call it a paladin. It looks human fighter type with shield and sword.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Excellent. Right now, though, this is one of the ones that needs your help. As of time of recording, there are 12 days left to go. They're about halfway to their goal. Their goal is 20,000. This is one I definitely am backing and would love to see it actually make
it.
Yeah. So taking a look at it, there are a bunch of tier levels here. It starts at $8. Which will get you 1 packet of gummies. Each packet has about 45 gummies, and in the backer that comes after the initial backing, you actually can choose your flavors and the different molds that you want in it. So it gives you full options. Right now, I believe they have 6 different flavors you can choose from. There's like a lime, a berry, a cherry, a marshmallow flavor. Sounds exciting. And then I think there's like a spicy one they have as well. And there might even be a pineapple and stuff too. So there's a bunch of different options they have. The more funding they get, the more they'll actually have to be able to offer. Now, the one cool thing I also like that they're doing is that as you back this, you can choose how many of these packets of minis you actually want to donate, and they will send to the Children's Miracle Network of hospitals.
Right, which is such a good idea. I mean, as an adult and a rather large man, the idea of getting to eat the gummy minis after I kill them in D&D is great. But can you imagine how awesome this would be introducing tabletop gaming to kids with gummies?
Yeah. So we actually were looking at getting involved in one of the local high schools in their D&D club. Volunteering and just kind of coming and doing like a couple days with them. Something like this would be perfect for having just to teach, especially even a younger generation of kids. So this is definitely one of those that we're looking at backing. The next level is for $35. You get 5 packets of minis. So, and then you can, and as you buy these, you can tell them how many of the packs you want to donate and how many you actually want for yourself. So the donations go all the way up. One of the funny things they have, though, if you donate $3,000 or more, they will actually send you the original Goblin test mold that they made when they were coming up with the Goblin mold. So that one's pretty cool. They'll also give you a gummy factory tour, which I thought was hilarious. And yeah, so although those are probably, there's one of that one, and there's also one for 4,000. That's a prototype mold.
Right.
So while I don't know that anybody will actually back at that level, it's still pretty funny that they do offer that with their different levels that you can back at. Again, this is definitely something that we're looking at backing, but it does need your help. It's got about $10,000 left to go and about 12 days as the time of recording here.
So that is honestly plenty of time if word gets out about this. Even if we just get a bunch of people backing at like that $35 level. Who doesn't love gummies, and who doesn't love gummies and D&D? It's just this is just such a genius idea that needs to be brought into fruition in our world. So go take a look, share it with your friends. We'll have the link to it, like we always do, down in our show notes. Next up, we decided that, keeping with the Halloween theme, we were going to look for some games or something very much Halloween themed, and we found the ripoff. The ripoff, it describes itself as the ultimate slasher board game. Choose your character, which is probably which is a trope from some scary movie.
There's like the pizza guy, the ghost hunter, the love interest, the eager stepdad. So all these, it's a complete trope of the traditional horror movie,
right?
Stand-ins that you find,
and the killers are very basic but legally different characters that I'm sure we've all seen time and time again. The guy with the mask, the guy in the hood, the werewolf. That they're just all of your classic slasher ideas, just not using any of the names that would get them sued. So well done, guys. Your characters have an entire set of attributes, kind of like a role-playing game: strength, luck, agility, sneak, hindsight, endurance, and resilience. So slasher. This game just looks like it's a lot of fun outside of the actual gameplay, but watching them, like the video they have up on it, I mean, it seems like it's challenging. Definitely kind of a cooperative game.
So this one has actually already reached its goal. It only had a goal of 1,250. So it's still got 30 days as of time of recording. So it's definitely one you'll have time to check out and take a look at. Introductory kind of buy-in on this is going to be $60. So you get a copy of the game, obviously, and then you get a digital thank you from the creative team. So that's pretty nice to have that in there. You can also they have a donated level as well. You can donate a copy somewhere. And then basically they'll ship it anywhere you want to.
Right. The game also has a companion app, so it helps you track the gameplay. You can go in and have a look at that. I was looking for it. Comes with the companion app. Comes with a dice roller. Like at the $150 level, the offer is join the cast of Ripoff. We will create a character based on you to be part of the game. Work with our lead artist to create your ideal slasher victim. Like, I love that when like artists. I had a friend of mine who ran a Kickstarter for a novel, and I donated to, and I got to name 2 of the villains. Right, so that'll forever, once that gets published, be my own work that I got to put in there. But that sounds like a lot of fun. Like we said, this one is already funded. We're looking at shipping in February of 2022.
All right, so the last one that we have for today also deals with the horror theme. And this is called Mutated Monsters, Evolve Your 5th Edition campaign. Yes. So a lot of the Kickstarters that we've talked about have had to do with 5th edition role-playing, different new source books, new editions, new things like that, because there's so much wonderful like user-created content that comes with 5th edition. This one looks like one of my more favorite ones that we've ever talked about. Just because I was a big fan, we ran the Ravnica campaign. I was always a big fan of the Simic Guild because this is what they were all about. Like creating these mutations through the Guardian Project under the guise of protecting the city. But they would always seek to like put monsters together, somehow combine them so that they would have different abilities and powers. And that's exactly what this book is all about. So you get a couple things here with this. One of the things that you get is an actual book that it has about 120 plus new monsters, 100 or so new magic items and loot. There's some mutation inspired subclasses. There's over 10 different new monster layers. There are
Layers. Lairs.
Yes.
You said it, and I was like, wait a minute, monsters have layers? I thought onions have layers. I had to go back and read. So just so we're all clear, homes of monsters. Go ahead. Sorry.
Like layer actions.
There you go.
Okay. There are new gods of evolution. There are unique quests and things like that. And of course, some NPCs all in the book. What you also get are some decks of cards. Now, what these cards are used for is they are ways to modify current monsters that you're using. So there are like aberrant adaptations, magical monstrosities, and then mad science. So what we're talking about here? So there's one card that says like armored. So the creature is mutated in a way that now it has an armor. There's like a magical mishap where like now this creature who should not be able to use magic has some sort of magic effect happening around it. There's one that is called Mecha, which is a very like steampunk version. Like this creature is now, it's made of metal. It's no longer, just the organic type creature. So all of these are really cool because it gives you access to like these kind of, all right, so I don't want to throw the same old monster number 4 at my party. What can I do to make this thing different? Well, shuffle up a deck, draw a card. All right, now your whatever is now covered in armor. Or now it was created by a mad scientist and is half machine, half creature. So all of these things really open up a whole like plethora of different options just for the monsters in your campaign.
And I absolutely, especially if you have somebody that knows that has played D&D for a while, there are certain monsters that we just memorize and we try not to metagame it, but this is a quick way to take a metagaming party and throw something at them that they're absolutely not ready for. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, we could take that. Oh, wait, it now shoots lightning? That's new. Yeah. So yeah, the whole idea behind this, I mean, there are some horrifying looking creatures in here. There's a dragon turtle that's half shark instead, going with the horror theme. There's plenty of, nightmare juice in here that you can take a look at. But even for, your regular campaigns, this has the potential to be outstanding.
Absolutely. So this one is also completely backed already. In fact, well backed. Of the 15,000 they requested, they're already at 47, almost 48,000. So it still has 22 days to go. So definitely still have time to go in and take a look at it because they do have a lot of really cool extras as well as in addition to just the general reward tiers. So speaking of those, you can start at, of course, $1, which most of them have, just to get access to the Baccarat survey after, so you can do your pledges then. For $30, you get a PDF and digital copy of both the book and the cards. That's the easiest low level of entry, which honestly, for something like this, is probably all most people would need. If you do like hardcovers like we do, that starts at $45. You actually get a physical copy of the book as well as a digital copy. Jumping up to the next tier is $90. You actually get a hard copy of the book. You get a set of the cards. You get the digital copy of the book. They also include a set of dice and a soundtrack for the Mutated Monsters, as well as some stickers that come along with it. So that's pretty cool. I have no idea what would be on that soundtrack, but I'm sure it would be excellent, especially for running kind of a mutated monster horror theme type encounters. So if you go up, the next tier is $160. So the difference in this tier, it gives you, they have a mini basically that they have created, one of the mutated monsters. Let's see, you actually get, you get all 3 of the different card decks in this set instead of just one. And you actually get a custom GM screen that they made for it, to go along with all the other stuff from the reward tier above it. And then the next one down, the last one is a $300 tier. It includes everything that we've talked about up to this point. You also get a gemstone dice set, in addition to the regular just resin dice. You get a couple mini packs. So you get one that has like 4 smaller minis, and then you get a mutated T-Rex mini, which sounds awesome. You get all the STL files for all the miniatures. So those of you who have access to a 3D printer, you can print all of those. And then you get a cool like silicone dice case to keep your new gemstone dice in.
That looks really good. I know that's for a lot of us. 300 is a big one, but they've marked it down. MSRP on that is like $411.
Yeah.
So you can also do a lot of that as add-ons. If you want to get the decks, they're $12 for each physical, or $6 for PDF. The GM screen is $20. The sharp edge resin dice are $37. And then the case to hold them in, that silicone case, is like $17. So you can kind of piece it together if you're not ready to commit $300. Like we said, they are already well funded, and they have got 22 days left. We're looking at shipping is going to be December of 2022.
Right. So there are some stretch goals involved. They're very close actually to reaching their next goal. At 50,000, they actually put 3 new playable races into the book. So I can only imagine what those are going to be. And then the next stretch goal they have listed right now is at 75,000. They have a token pack that they'll send out to all backers regardless of tier. So yeah, this looks like it is another excellent project to take a look at, especially if you're looking for something a little bit different for your campaign, or if you're like me who just likes to collect D&D resources about various things because you never know when you might need that. This is one of those, especially for the digital versions of them. It's a pretty good deal for $30.
Yep.
And with the last cards, the monster has been vanquished and the city is free from the curse. I've been Josh.
And I'm Jim. And from the Dabbler Meeple, good night.
Thanks everyone for sticking around and listening to our show.
Hey, if you enjoyed what we're doing here, follow us and leave a like. It really helps us out.
And if you have anything to say back to us, you can find us on Instagram or Facebook at the Dapper Meeple, or at dappermeeplegaming@gmail.com.
And as always, we'll save you a seat at the table.